Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm Jano Lieber, MTA Chair and CEO. I'm here with representing New York City Transit, the Senior Vice President of Buses, Frank Anacaro, but we're also joined by amazing elected officials. We have an amazing cohort of electeds out here in Queens. The Queensborough President, Donovan Richards, we've worked with so much. New York State Senator and the Chairman of the Committee of Jurisdiction over the MTA, Senator Leroy Comrie, will be joined momentarily by the Assembly Member Alicia Heineman, but we are, in the meantime, joined with the Chair of the New York City Council Transportation Committee, Selvena Brooks Powers, all great partners to the MTA. And I also want to acknowledge the Council Member Natasha Williams, who represents this immediate district, who is always on board with us. In addition, we have the President and CEO of the New York Power Authority, who's a big partner in this project. Justin Driscoll and his team is here with us as well. And representing MTA Construction and Development, the leaders of whom are actually had a long-planned strategic planning meeting off-site today. But Eric Wilson, who's the VP of Sustainability, where are you, Eric? Eric is here with us as well. Listen, always a good day to talk about buses in Queens. 800,000 daily riders, the most of any borough. So there's no better place to celebrate the next big step for our bus program, which is the zero emissions buses are coming online. And today we're announcing we're purchasing another 265 electric buses. This is the first project unlocked by congestion pricing that is advancing after the congestion pricing pause was unpaused. And there's a lot more to come. As of last week, we have active procurements underway for congestion pricing funded projects like the 2nd Avenue Subway Phase 2, the modern signals for the A train in Brooklyn, we call the Fulton CBTC project, and as always, another big package of ADA stations. We've been knocking these out 5 times as fast as the MTAs in the past, and we're advancing yet another set now that congestion pricing is moving forward. But back to today's business. The latest batch of electric buses builds on the zero emissions progress we made at various depots last year, and that together with what was done in a recent announcement, it's 265 zero emissions buses slated to come to various depots beginning later this year. With so much of new rolling stock, new buses on the way, we're going to need to build a lot of charging infrastructure. Don't forget, it's not just the buses, but you need the special electric power charging infrastructure at these depots, and that's where our partners at the New York Power Authority come in. The work to make this depot electric charging outfitted is already underway, not just here in Jamaica, where we're building a brand new depot, but all over the city. Now, I always say, people have heard it many times, mass transit is the antidote to climate change. But we all know that zero emissions buses are about air quality improvements. And this is a community that deserves it, that has had air quality and the related health issues historically. Zero emissions buses mean a reduction in harmful pollutants and better public health outcomes, not to mention a more sustainable and more inclusive transit system. Now, for a while, the MTA has announced a goal of making all of our buses zero emissions by 2040. The latest batch of buses is just the beginning. In addition to the partners we're recognizing at New York Power Authority, joined in many projects by Con Ed, I have to acknowledge the folks in the federal government, especially always our guardian angel in Washington, Chuck Schumer, but also the House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffrey, Representative Velasquez, and the entire delegation. There is $70 million in formula money, including $20 million that came from the Biden bipartisan infrastructure bill that is part of this more than $400 million procurement. So I just want to come back to what I started with, was acknowledging that we have amazing elected partners at this team, at this neighborhood. And, you know, Borough President Senator Comrie, Assemblymember Heineman, Councilmember Brooks Powers. This is for the MTA, a dream team, and we're going into, no secret, we're going into a major, very significant session in Albany where our capital program will be dealt with. And I just want to acknowledge in advance their tremendous partnership. I also want to thank the team at Transit who's worked so hard on this transition to zero emissions buses, not just Frank Anacaro, Sunil Nair, Jacob Krisiach, and Tushar Shah. With that, let me turn it over to Frank Anacaro, Senior Vice President of Buses. Frank.
Thank you, Jano, and good morning, and welcome to Jamaica Depot. It's great to be back in Queens. Today's announcement is all about equity. There is equity in investing in better bus service for the communities that rely on buses as their lifeline to get around. We did that with our recent addendum to the Queens bus redesign, investing over $30 million in better buses for the borough. And we're doing it again today by taking the next step in our electric bus transformation. In recent months, we've made real strides in the transformation of our bus fleet, as you just heard from Jano. As highlight in December was the first ever electric bus deployment in Staten Island with the state-of-the-art charging stations at the Charleston Bus Depot in participation with Con Ed and our partners with NYPA. There is equity in reducing emissions for our buses with cleaner, greener electric vehicles. Parts of the city like Jamaica have higher rates of asthma because for too long the needs of residents were not prioritized. Not anymore. Prioritize communities like Jamaica for these new emissions-free buses will bring cleaner air to communities that need it. This is especially true in the neighborhoods surrounding bus depots like this one. Soon the diesel exhaust from buses coming in and out of this depot will be a thing of the past. And there is equity in making upgrades to our aging infrastructure, especially at facilities like this one, Jamaica Depot. When this depot is rebuilt, it will be the crown jewel of our bus system. By replacing a facility that was nearly 90 years old, we will make more than just operate and maintain buses. We'll be improving this entire community. And one of the upgrades that the residents can look forward to is a new green roof, which will include best-in-class sustainability improvements to clean the air, reduce stormwater, and increase energy efficiency. We also listen to the concerns of the community, and we're installing sound deadening barrier walls along 107th Avenue and 165th Street. These walls will shield residents from the noise at the depot and improve quality of life. Any day we can improve our bus system is a good day. By targeting investments in communities like Southeast Queens, we're making our city more fair and equitable. Thank you, and I'm going to turn it over to our partner, Justin Driscoll from NYPA. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you. Well, good morning. Great to be with you on this warm morning. Always happy to stand beside Jano Lieber and MTA leadership as we work so closely together on electrifying their bus fleet. I also want to say hello and welcome our Borough President Richards. It's good to see you as well. Frank, great to see you. Also, Senator Comrie, good to be with you. Assemblymember Heineman and City Council Member Brooks Powers, good morning and great to be with you all. So, as I said, this is a great partnership we have with the MTA in helping them electrify their bus fleet. Seems like just yesterday we were at Grand Avenue in Maspeth making a similar announcement on an earlier phase of electrification of the buses. And so this is an incremental effort, but a very, very important effort, as President Lieber said. And so we're just delighted to be partnering with the MTA. As you know, these electric buses replace fossil fuel generated buses, and each bus that we can take off the streets and replace with an electrified bus is progress and a step toward decarbonizing our economy. So the MTA's continued push to grow its zero emissions bus fleet is welcome news to us, certainly at the Power Authority. Additional electric buses will further reduce carbon emissions, address climate change, and make New York City the model for urban bus fleet operations across the nation and even around the world. The Power Authority, of course, is committed to helping the MTA reach its 100% electrification goal by 2040. This transition also helps New York State, of course, achieve its climate goals as well. This transition, as I said, will take time and commitment, but I want to commend the MTA and congratulate them on the commitment they're making in this effort. As I said, this is one of several phases. We're now talking about kicking off phase 3 of this work, which is exciting, but we have a long way to go. But each step we take is progress. And so, again, I just want to thank and congratulate the MTA on this significant commitment, and I'm happy to be with you here today. Thank you.
Senator Comrie is, as I said, one of the major partners for everything we do in the state, in Albany, and just a personal word of thanks to him for the partnership he's always maintained with the MTA. I didn't want to let the moment pass without acknowledging the members of ATU 1056, represented today by the President, and a whole mess of officers who I had a moment with. We have a great bus depot and a great operation here. In large part, we have a great relationship with the union, who are real professionals. But with that, Senator Comrie, would you say a few words?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming out to Jamaica. Thank you for coming to look at the progress of this depot. I'm proud of being able to make this happen. My predecessor in the city council was promised this 30 years ago, and we're finally getting there. Archie Spigner, who was my predecessor in the city council, we've been trying to get this done and deal with the toxic fumes that have been coming from the buses. I'm glad that this will be, the Jamaica Bus Depot electrification will be the first in the nation project to modernize this depot and provide the facilities needed to operate, maintain, and eventually store up to 300 fully electric buses. It will also help to improve bus circulation throughout Queens with the impending bus redesign that we're still working on. I'm proud to be here today for the announcement of the purchase of these buses that will operate on multiple routes across the city, building on the 60 buses that are already in depots this year, and in addition to the 205 buses that will come to the various depots beginning late next year. Advancements in technology make this depot a state-of-the-art place that is future forward, something that I, along with my colleagues, have been pushing the MTA to provide the work, and so we can modernize the system. We're going to be having new technology here, as I said, a green roof, a sound deadening barrier, hopefully solar panels also, so that they can produce and generate energy. Justin, we got to talk about that, because I think that we could make this an energy provider as well. And also the sound deadening to mitigate noise pollution, and the automated overhead charging stations. This is a pivotal moment in our commitment to sustainability. As the MTA is doing this announcement, this initiative not only represents an investment in public transportation, but demonstrates a dedication to reducing carbon emissions, which is important in this high asthma area, and fostering the cleaner environment for this area. We are paving the way for a healthier population and a thriving economy. I want to applaud the MTA and its partners for delivering this much-needed upgrade. I also want to take a minute to thank CUNY. This lot belongs to CUNY. It took us for 6 years to get it done, so we could get the temporary parking here, but I want to thank the borough president for his efforts, and MTA and for CUNY for finally listening and giving us the ability to utilize this lot so that we can make this happen. Thank you.
Donovan. I'm sorry.
All right, good morning. Happy New Year to everyone. Of course, to Jano, thank you. I remember that day in Maspeth. It was much warmer by the day. Felt like it was like 90 degrees. But I can't think of a better way to kick off 2025 than by announcing a massive investment in making our borough cleaner and greener. And as the borough president, I'm proud to be in charge of the borough that's leading our nation's clean energy revolution. I want to really thank the MTA for being such an incredible partner in that revolution, because when you have 800,000 Queens residents who ride the bus every day, you need to root that revolution in electrifying your mass transit system. And that's exactly what we're furthering today. And I often talk about communities like Astoria to downtown Jamaica being something called Asthma Alley. where families have had to deal with excessive air pollution for decades. And that kind of environmental racism has led to higher rates of illness, putting entire generations of residents behind the eight ball from birth. And let me say this, today is not just about the everyday riders. It is about our children. It is about our everyday riders. It's about our seniors, but it's also about the people who drive the buses as well, who endure long times being inside these buses, who have to also take in pollution. So this is also about health and safety and wellness for the people who drive our mass transit system as well. So I really want to thank ATU as well. But today, seeing 265 new zero-emission buses means cleaner streets, cleaner communities, and some environmental justice for those who have long been denied it. And I often say your zip code should not be a determinant on whether you have access to clean air. Every community deserves access to clean air, and clean air is a human right. Electrifying your bus fleet means you have to electrify your depots as well. So thank you to the MTA for bringing 20 bus charging stations to the New Jamaica Depot. In the days to come, we'll also be announcing in Springfield Gardens the largest public charging station for electric vehicle stations as well. Just was touring yesterday. And a big thank you also needs to go out to the Biden administration, who I know also invested $100 million. And we know with the impending January 20th coming, we're going to have to make sure we are doing more in our states and our cities to make sure that we provide and absolutely make sure that our environment is cleaner and greener. The bipartisan infrastructure law has made a world of a difference all over the country and especially here in Queens. So once again, want to thank President Biden as he ends his term. Getting to 100% zero-emission mass transit system takes a ton of work and partners from all across the spectrum. So of course, I want to acknowledge, rest in peace, Archie Spigner, the Dean of Southeast Queens, my former colleague, Danique Miller, who also played a huge role in advocating here, as well as Senator Comrie. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and our Chair of Transportation, Sylvina Brooks Powers, as well. This is really a team effort, and we're leaving future generations a habitat that is not just surviving, but thriving, which needs to be our top priority as we are showcasing today. You cannot address climate change without addressing inequities, and today we're doing that. Congratulations to everybody who made this possible.
Got to bring it down for me, Donovan. You know I'm shorter than you. But good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to join you here at the Jamaica Bus Depot to celebrate this critical step forward for sustainable and equitable transportation in our city. I'd like to begin by acknowledging MTA Chair Jano Lieber, State Senator Leroy Comrie, Borough President Donovan Richards, and in their absence, Assemblymember Alicia Heineman and Councilmember Natasha Williams. I'd also like to acknowledge former Councilmember Danique Miller, who had worked so hard in pushing forward this vision of the late, great Archie Spigner, for all of their leadership and partnership in making today's announcement possible. As chair of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee within the New York City Council, and as a representative of parts of Southeast Queens, I know firsthand how our communities have long borne the brunt of environmental inequities. For years, Southeast Queens has faced environmental justice issues coupled with chronic underinvestment in our transit infrastructure. These disparities have directly impacted the health and quality of life for our residents. That's why I have prioritized supporting local environmental organizations and funding initiatives aimed at addressing these inequities, including efforts to clean and green our parks and expand transit access. Today's announcement of 265 new zero-emission buses and transformative upgrades at the Jamaica Bus Depot is a step towards turning the tide towards a greener, more supported Southeast Queens. By reducing greenhouse gas emissions and improving air quality, this investment not only benefits our environment, but also supports the health of our families and neighbors. Additionally, the commitment to hire locally during the construction phase is critical to this project's success and will create new opportunities right here within our community. This work is far from done, but milestones like this give me hope for a future where all New Yorkers can breathe clean air and enjoy a transportation system that serves their needs equitably. I'll also continue working with the MTA, environmental advocates, my colleagues in government, of course my colleagues in labor, Local 1056 that's here, as well as TWU, to ensure that these transformative changes reach every corner of our city. Thank you again, and congratulations to everyone who helped to make this progress possible. Thank you.
All right, we got some questions here. We're going to start on buses with Samantha Liebman of New York One is right there. Samantha Liebman.
So I just have some questions about the new depot. When will it be finished? Where is it? And how is it being funded?
So this new depot is actually being built right in and around and on the spot of the current depot. All right, 2027 is the estimated time of completion, and this is a capital project, capitally funded project.
From which capital plan?
This is from the expiring, the 2020 to 2024 plan. Yeah.
All right, staying with buses, we've got
to be
Evan.
clear, the
Sorry,
bus,
go ahead.
Sam, the new buses are congestion pricing related in that program.
Evan Simko-Bednarski from the New York Daily News.
Hi, guys. Got a question about the articulated electric buses. I know the local buses seem to be working out pretty well. You guys are bringing more online. I know there was some issue as of last year trying to find articulated buses or buses that could serve the longer haul routes that were up to snuff. Where are you guys at on that?
So we actually have some articulated buses. Our first 15 buses were articulated buses. We brought in here in 2019. They were like the first generation of buses. Technology continues to matriculate, and we anticipate as part of this 265 to bring in some articulated buses. So, technology's there and ready.
All right, let's go to Greg Mocker from Pix 11. Greg.
Mr. Chairman and staff, the goal of electrifying the entire fleet, a couple of years off, is that relying on funding from congestion pricing, on funding from a bunch of other places as well? How feasible is that goal?
Right, but obviously, if congestion pricing is funding the buses that we're announcing today, 265 buses. So that is continuous on the path to make the whole system fully electrified in 10 or 15 years. So this is an essential contribution, thanks to congestion pricing, for greening our city and, as some of the elected said, creating a more sustainable and equitable transit system.
All right, let's go broader topics with Andrew Siff of WNBC. Andrew.
Mr. Chairman, since you addressed it and said that congestion pricing is funding this purchase, can you give us an update, please, on how much money did congestion pricing generate this week? And what have we seen in terms of the number of vehicles entering versus the week before it started?
Andrew, the way, and this is a point of clarification that you guys got to, do your job to help the public understand, which is that congestion pricing charges only get calculated after a full day because it depends on, you get charged once, but you can, all the different detection points have to be checked and all the computer operations that yield the outcomes. But then there's a period, about 10 to 20% of all the detections actually get a person looking at them. Now that's part to validate that the system is working properly, that nobody gets charged improperly. It's also because we have to make sure that people are messing with plates, that you can identify who it is, and we can, and the system learns what a vehicle is and what its real license plate is pretty quickly. So that's why it takes, several business days to really yield how many cars went in and then how many are chargeable, because remember, there's a huge number of exemptions and there are areas which are not charged. So that is where all those calculations are very much in place, and in a couple of days we're going to share it all. So
You
that-
must have a snapshot at this
You
point.
know what I have is the same snapshot that you have, and you guys have done a great job of reporting anecdotal evidence that is the anecdotal evidence. Give Ray back the mic, please.
Hold on.
No, you know this is you work with us a lot, Andrew. Don't make us take away the mic. But there's enormous pack online and otherwise of anecdotal evidence of what's been happening. Couple of data points that I will share. Crossings at TBTA, the MTA crossings, are down, and the East River crossings that New York City DOT operates are down as well. We're having consistent reports that AM peak travel into the CBD is much faster. I think you've all heard it. And then we all seen the social media responses, and they're widespread from people who said, I was against congestion pricing, but I am saving so much time that it's actually turned me into a believer. And there's one truck driver who said, I'm going to save enough in gas because this is so much faster and more efficient that it will pay for the cost of the congestion pricing toll. So we're all seeing the same thing, but we're not going to release data until it's reliable and cross-checked. There are many data sources, and we want to give you a final and exact picture. Okay?
All right, let's go right
Now,
behind.
You can take Andrew out of the penalty box, Ray.
No, right behind Andrew, patiently waiting there. I think that's Allie Bauman, right, from CBS 2, who is here with Christy Barry today. Amazing.
Andrew is from Queens, but he gets no special privileges as a result.
Well, thank you. Good to see you. Even if you don't have the exact data, just from driving around, is congestion pricing having the effect on the traffic flow that you wanted to see?
Yeah, it appears to be, Ali, that we are having a significant effect on traffic. But there are also other factors, and we need in these calculations to take into account seasonality, day of the week, prior data that we have. All those things are going to be factored in so that people have a really accurate picture of what's going on. We don't want to mislead people with spot judgments, but the anecdotal and the report evidence and the reports are pretty consistent that people coming from buses in, whether they're coming from Jersey or on express buses from the New York City boroughs, are having much faster morning commutes, faster evening commutes. And people are saying good things about what they're seeing, but we're going to give a full report when we've got the data in hand.
And are you seeing like a new rush hour, people coming in even earlier before the toll starts?
Way too early to get into those specifics, but we will in time, and those are good questions.
On to Lindsay Tuckman right there from Channel 7, Eyewitness News. Lindsay.
Thank you for the intro. Thank you, first of all. I've been taking the subway all week, as I do every day to go to work.
Thank you for your business.
Of course. For folks who are choosing to opt out of driving and now to take the subway, what can you say to them if they are encountering still delays? Of course, the money is not being utilized yet for any improvements, but what can you say to those people who are choosing to ride the subways but may encounter some iffy situations on their morning commutes?
Listen, we've got the best big picture year over year. We've got the best subway service we've had in a long, long time. But that doesn't mean that every trip, every day is going to be perfect. And we are working all get out to make the system perform better and better and better. The investments that are being made from congestion pricing, and because we knew the money was coming, we were able to start making those investments are over time going to make a big difference. So we're going to get rid of all that, the tracks and the power and the signals that were installed when Franklin Roosevelt was the president. Stuff is way too old. It falls apart. We're going to get new train cars, and we're going to be having true ADA accessibility at more and more and more stations so that everybody, if you're a parent with a stroller or a senior who just doesn't do stairs anymore, that you can get in and out. So the payoff is there, but obviously we're still working on making the system better and better every day.
And just real quick, for people who are choosing to drive and are confused by the rules, I know they've had a lot of time to read up on it, but a lot of people did not. What do you say to the people who are confused or wondering why they got a charge when they were only there for a minute? What do you say to those drivers?
Listen, obviously we're all adjusting, and we understand that. The MTA, there is a call center, a customer service center dedicated just for this purpose. It is 1-800-333-TOLL. TOLL. I don't remember the digits associated with that. But call the customer service center if you're confused. The MTA, if you call the MTA 511 customer service center, they can help you. And there's lots of information online at mta.info, the website of MTA, about congestion pricing. So we want everybody to figure it out. The most important thing, though, Lindsay, is everybody's got to make sure their Easy Pass and their plate number are lined up. So go to your Easy Pass account and make sure if you're driving that your license plate number is on your Easy Pass account, because if it's not, you might get a higher bill.
1-800-333-8655, I think is what you were thinking about. Let's go to Deshanae Andrews. She's here representing the New York Post.
Hello, good afternoon, Chairman. A lot of Republican lawmakers are calling for you to step down due to your recent comments on subway crime. I'm just asking, what do you have to say to them?
I'm glad that they are not in the majority. That's one thing. I would say, listen, they obviously they wrote a letter. But it's based on completely inaccurate reporting, and I'm not going to go into it, but your newspaper put words in quotes on the front page that I did not say. That is crossing a line in journalism. I understand that tabloid journalism in New York is a blood sport, but that's crossing a line. Bigger to the point, more broadly to the point, the reason I talk about perception is that I believe that the subway not only has to be safe on the numbers, lower crime, less disorder, but it has to feel safe. And that's why we talk about perception, not to dismiss crime, but rather to emphasize that we need the police and everybody to join forces to push back on disorder. Some people may think it doesn't matter when somebody's using drugs or smoking in the subway. The sense of disorder, which starts at the fare gate with fare evasion, has to be pushed back on. And we have, and you can tell those Republican senators that we have 50 recidivist transit misdemeanor criminals, mostly misdemeanors, some felonies, but 50 people in the last 2 years have almost 100 arrests on average in transit. 100 arrests on average. So we're saying to the criminal justice system, you got to find a way to put those people away from where they're causing harm, whether it's incarceration, put them into mental health treatment, otherwise get off the wheel where they come back in the system and commit infractions and crimes again and again. So our friends in the Republican majority who choose to write that letter base their understanding of what we were saying about crime and disorder on inaccurate facts.
All right, the Republican minority, I think, in the state. You're thinking of Washington. But anyway.
No, Republican minority. Thank you for the
go.
correction.
Mac Rosenberg is right here from 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM. Mac.
Thank you. Hi, Chairman. I'll wait for a second.
Clarifying. Senator Comrie is in the majority over there. Clarifying the situation. Mac.
Hi, Chairman.
I'll try to make you laugh again.
Hi.
Hi.
Right over here.
Thank
Hi. So you mentioned...
Who are you with? I'm sorry.
1010 Wins.
Got it. Okay.
On 92.3 FM.
On 92.3 FM. Thank you. And the Odyssey app, too, by the way. You had mentioned East River crossings.
Yes.
There are some reports that people coming in through the Queensboro Bridge are not able to avoid the toll, even if they're going uptown. I did see that they can take the upper level to avoid that, but what would you say to those drivers who are concerned, you're going to have to just take the upper level and that may affect them?
Listen, there is a way to get from the Queensboro Bridge into the zone without paying. But the bigger issue is the way that the legislation was written defined the zone. In fact, the legislation gave us a map that we had to live with. So there may be some imperfections in that or some complexity, but we had to live with the map that was part of the law. And unfortunately, that means that when you land 60th Street or south, you end up being tolled. So look out for the signs that tell you how to get to the upper level is my advice to our friends coming over the Queensboro.
All right. Oh, you
Just
follow
one more.
up.
I know you wouldn't necessarily make this decision on your own, but for people who are obstructing license plates and that kind of thing, there's going to be a public hearing with the city council in February. Will you go to that hearing, and what kind of penalties have you thought about? What you would support?
I don't know. We'll definitely be represented at that hearing. I don't know about my personal schedule and invitations and so on. But here, the point is pretty clear. If you're obscuring if you're obscuring your license plate or engaging in any of this gadget-based stuff, you're cheating other New Yorkers. That's what you're doing. Frequently these are some of the same people who complain about fare evasion, the subways, who seem to be encouraging or giving a wink towards people who are obscuring their license plates. And what we heard from the mayor is obscured license plates and ghost plates are a huge source of crime. This is not a joke. This is not a minor infraction. This is involving yourself in a pattern of behavior in New York City that is a threat to the city, and it's a way of cheating other New Yorkers. I don't think anybody should tolerate it, and I got a lot of great elected officials who are going to look into it.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming. Sam, you had a question already. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but that was on topic. I have an off topic. Can I get my own?
All right. Yeah. All right. This is the last
Thank
question,
you.
Sam.
All right. Do you have a reaction to the mayor's State of the City where he mentioned zero about transportation issues, including congestion pricing, bus lanes, anything? And also, are you concerned about getting money from Albany for the capital plan, since the leaders have nixed the capital plan? And I would just like to also hear from Senator Comrie on that as well.
Well, I mean, I'm going to let Senator Comrie comment on the Capitol. I'm hugely optimistic about the capital plan. The governor has been a staunch supporter, and she will be a major player. And listen, we have good partners in the Assembly and the Senate, and here's one of them right here.
I thought the mayor did an excellent job in an hour speech yesterday to talk about safety in the subways. That was his focus in his speech. So I wouldn't worry about the mayor's participation in the subways. He's been working with the governor, as you know, to provide extra resources and state troopers. So I think that in his overall focus on safety and making this a city of families, it'll be good. Don't worry about the budget. Let us work on that, and we'll get back to you with more details in that. But as responsible legislators, we couldn't just adopt $60 billion in a budget before we had the chance to work with our members to talk about all of the things that we need to do in the budget for next year. But I would encourage all of you to weigh in, express your opinions, and let the public know that what we're dealing with, because we have now, after January 20th, we don't know what we're getting from the federal government. We don't know what we're going to get from anyone. And we need to sit down as a responsible body to come up with a responsible budget. We did it 2 years ago. We've been doing it since we took the leadership in 2019. And I'm in the Senate, and I'm confident that we will finally come up with something that will make sense for all New Yorkers.
Thank you, Senator. Thanks, everybody.